Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Star Wars The Last Jedi First Order Heavy Scout Walker. Now as of the time of the recording of this video, we have not yet seen the Heavy Scout Walker in a canonical context. We haven't seen how it's going to look, how it's going to be scaled, nor have we gotten the real name, the official name of the thing. But that's okay, we can still check out the toy and all of its details. From the name alone, I would expect this to be more stout than an AT-ST in universe. And I would expect that would be the reason that it has 8 legs rather than 2. I'm not sure if it would be taller than 1, but it should certainly be heavier, given that it is a heavy scout walker. So, I'm guessing this ain't right. I'm guessing this ain't right at all. Yeah. So putting that aside, literally and figuratively, the design of this thing is clearly heavily inspired by Janssen walkers, little funny looking organic mimicking mechanical beast, the Strandbeest series with a whole bunch of legs that move in interesting ways. This does have a mechanism built into it, or a series of mechanisms built into it with linkages that are fairly crude to create motion, to make those legs move. You just roll this back and forth. You can see they tend to kind of pop up and down. It looks kind of right, except sometimes the legs start to get into sync a little bit. But yeah, also if you do it too quickly, sometimes they'll just pop. They'll just pop up and down. What's happening here is each of these cheater wheels on the underside with tires has a pair of cams, or a pair of lobes. One on this side, this controls this first one over here. One on the other side controls this next one. And it's just hitting them and it's just pushing them up. And gravity lets them fall back down. That's why if you do it quickly and you're hitting this regularly, it won't fall down all the way, and they'll start to just hop a little bit and stay off the ground. So definitely not a Janssen linkage setup at all. It's very, very highly simplified how that works, and not nearly as cool as I hoped it would be. Also, you can see those wheels and tires all the time from many angles. They're super obvious. They look like the wheels of a 1800s locomotive or something, like a tender car, a very early locomotive, or maybe even a horse-drawn rail car. Just not a good look. Not a good look at all. And a very simple mechanism, which by default wants to return to this resting state here, where all of the legs are just lined up in this kind of boxy formation, which doesn't look nearly as cool as any of the box art or any of the marketing photos that they created for this thing that always show them looking more kinetic, looking more like they're actually moving about. As soon as you let those wheels move around a little bit, they're always going to let the cams come back to this lowest energy state here. And it's just not as cool of a look as I would have liked. Lots of trans red in there. That's interesting. Looks kind of cool. I think the head of this thing will prove to be fairly accurate for its size, for its scale. They do have the spring-loaded shooters over on the sides. You can leave the bolts out if you don't like the looks of those long tails. I mean, this front part looks cool, but all this back here kind of breaks the reality a little bit. There's no motion of the head. It is on a swivel, but there's no range of motion available. They just wanted to get it to angle down. Now you can move these two cannons up and down, but they are also on hinged or ratcheted hinge joints. So they can move, but they have a limited number of spots where they'll stay, and there's no side-to-side motion for those. There's no turning of the head either. I don't know if this thing will actually have a turning head in universe. It should have just a little bit of wiggle room there, but I'm not sure if it really will, but at least it should be able to move its head up and down, I think, and I think these should have a little bit more range of motion. You can change these as well. That's very useful for play because it allows you to arc your shots, and it also allows you to shoot at air targets, at other vehicles or speeders, and even shoot at minifigs. So that's done well enough. And I also like the look of this thing around the back. It's not that complex, but it looks really nice to me. I'm glad that they brought in a little bit of tan to kind of break up the grayness of it all, though of course, as always, I hate the blue that's showing through here that just doesn't belong at all, but that is what it is. And finally, on the inside, you can open up this hatch here pretty easily. The inside does have accommodation for 2 figures, so you can put 2 in there, even though this is such a small sized, hull, main hull section, still will fit 2 people in there, and you do get a console, which is a printed piece that we've gotten a number of times now, and they've got that red colored window. It's the 1x2 brick that lets some light get through there, so that's a good thing. I think it looks cool from the outside and from the in. The set thoroughly breaks a long-standing trend for Star Wars Walker toys. This does not come with any dedicated Walker driver figure. Instead, they give you a First Order gunner on the left, who I guess could be the main driver for this, and then they include General Hux to have a named figure in this one. And yeah, I think that can work. It can be on a special mission. He's especially mad, just wants to get out there and accomplish something in particular. But I would kind of expect Hux to, be in a more heavily armored or shielded sort of craft or vehicle. No alternate faces for either of these, and pretty simple prints for the backs of the torsos, although I think they are appropriate, especially the gunner one is good, and thank goodness the gunner is not a clone, not an angry clone. He's just a dude, just a generic dude, so that's good. And speaking of generics, here are a couple of generic troopers with the First Order Flame Trooper on the left and a Resistance Trooper on the right, who has just one piece of that nice helmet piece, nicely built up pack and also weapon for the Flame Trooper. I do like the Flame Trooper design overall, and I also like the Resistance Trooper. Doesn't have a whole lot going on for her in this case, but I think the design overall looks pretty cool. The color scheme works out well, and each of these has some print on the back. The Resistance Trooper even has an alternate face. That's cool, and it's a useful one as well. As for the face of the Flame Trooper, it's another angry clone, so get out of here. So now that I've shown you the set, let me tell you just how I personally really feel about it. I don't like it at all. I don't like the in-universe design of the thing. This idea of using so many legs just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It's a cool novelty itself. The Janssen walkers are cool novelties themselves. Some robots that are based on that design are cool novelties, but it doesn't make any sense to me to use in the Star Wars universe for something for the First Order. Of course, none of that is Lego's fault. However, as a Lego model, I don't like this either. Specifically, I don't like how the legs were actually done. I would have much preferred a pair of cheater wheels just side by side, deep in the center of the thing, hidden away so you can't see them quite so easily, just everywhere, with some proper Janssen links, or at least more than just a couple of linkages with the cams that just, the lobes of the cams that just kind of knock the things up and down. It's just oversimplified. Now I'm willing to bet that was not the first choice of the designer, and I'm sure that the designer's hands were tied by budget and parts counts and durability and stuff like that, and scale and all that. So it was probably a pretty impossible mission, and this is probably a pretty good effort for all of the constraints that existed, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't like the end result. The finished product is not something that interests me personally at all, and there are more things about it that bug me than that I actually like. Of course, that's just one person's opinion, but I like to tell you how I feel. So there you go, that's my review of the First Order Heavy Scout Walker. Hope that I've at least shown you what you wanted to see about this set, and I hope to have a chance to talk to you again soon because many more videos are on the way. Catch you later.